Namaskar, namaste. I'm Monisha Bhardwaj. My background, I'll just tell you a little bit so that later on when we do question answers, you may be able to link into that a little bit. I was born and raised in Mumbai, in India. I trained for 3 years to be a professional chef at the Institute of Hotel Management there, and also have a degree in Indian history. So I combine the two often, and I'm very interested in the history of Indian food, but not just the history as we know history, but also how we eat it. I was, of course, raised on an Ayurvedic diet. I was weaned on white rice. It's the most tridoshik component of a baby's diet in India, and that was what I had, but that's what my children had as well. And when we talk about Ayurvedic cooking, it's something that I'm very conscious of in all the work that I do. I run an Indian cookery school not far from here in Hounslow. I've run that for 20 years. And we do classes, 9 different classes, but also every class that I teach has elements on how to eat in the Ayurvedic lifestyle, because it's the only way I know. I've also written books. Ram, he was asking about books. I've written 17. We've got one of my books here. But that aside, let's talk about what is Ayurvedic cooking. And my first mantra really in all the cooking that I do is to keep it simple. The simpler we keep our cooking, the more likely we are to do it every day in the way that we want to do it. The more complicated we make it, and I find personally that the food world today has become a very complicated world. It's very hard to navigate through what is right today and what's right in 2025, and maybe next month something else is right, and oh my God, I don't know the meaning of that, that's new jargon for me, etc. So I'm always saying to everyone that I cook with, keep it simple. However simple works for you. For me, making a kitchari is simple. That works for me. If I eat a kitchari every week, I'm okay. But it's when I'm given ingredients that may be slightly difficult to navigate, and I find that maybe I'll use them once, maybe I'll use them 5 times, but I certainly won't use them for the rest of my life. I've grown up eating a kitchari. I know what it does for me. And along with keeping food simple, both the cooking and the eating is the mindfulness of the preparing and the eating of it. When we engage with ingredients, I don't know if you heard me clattering about at the back here while you were listening very attentively to Molly, but excuse me for that, but I was very mindfully preparing my ingredients here. And I think that's part of the cooking, just engaging with them, just touching them, smelling them, feeling them is lovely. It's a lovely way of being part of what we eat. And then when we sit down to eat, to actually enjoy what we're eating. In India, of course, we eat with our fingers. It's the most organic way of eating, because they say that it's the way you taste your food as it's meant to be tasted, with no interference of any metal. So you taste it as it's meant to be eaten. So when we prepare and eat our food mindfully, I think that's already pathway towards leading that Ayurvedic eating lifestyle. I'm going to be starting first with kashai. How many of you already make kashais at home? The herbal teas. Lots of us, right? We put things together and make herbal teas. They're good for many things, including the digestion. But when we talk of Ayurvedic food in the Indian context, we are always aware that it's not only the food we eat, but it's also how we absorb that food. In fact, the grace that we say in India before eating in formal occasions is not just thank you for the food we eat, but thank you for the ability to digest it as well. So having the right Agni, having an Agni that works for us, that will support what we're eating, is equally important to eating the right food. It's not just enough to say we'll eat 5 a day or we'll eat this, that and the other. It's the ability to digest those 5 a day also, and of course the ability to eliminate. It's all 3 that work with the Ayurvedic lifestyle of eating. You eat right, you absorb right, and you eliminate right. Otherwise, if one of these is not in sync, then there's no point in it's not going well. So first thing, let's make a kashai, which is the herbal tea. And for this, I'm using some spices. Can you see? I'll have to move this here. So here we are. Let me just, sorry. I'm going to start off not with the kashai. That's why I was wondering, what are bay leaves doing on my chopping board? They're not meant to be in the kashai. I'm starting with the kitchari, because that's going to take the longest time to cook. So the word kitchari, of course, conjures up a dish of rice, lentils, spices, and also some vegetables. It's a healing dish when one is feeling, sometimes, I mean, I grew up eating khichdi when I was feeling poorly. Today it's my comfort dish when I'm sort of tired and I think a khichdi is going to be really nourishing. I'm going to use mung dal. I think I need to bring my ingredients here, right? Can you see these? So I'm using mung dal, which I've washed really well. You want to wash all your lentils very well because it's part of getting them to be more digestible. Sometimes we find that eating lentils can lead to bloating, but washing the lentils really well helps to stop that. Then I've got rice. Do you have to bring everything here? You can see it from here? Ah, okay, lovely. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the rice also I have washed. And we've got, I'm using sunflower oil. You can use ghee, but because I'm doing it for a demo today and we will may have people who are not eating ghee, I'm using sunflower oil. Now I'm adding the sunflower oil to the pan once I open the bottle of oil and put this away. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to be adding the spices here. Now, when we cook with spices, and if the spices are going in at the start of the cooking, a very good idea is to put them into cold oil. Start the heat up, but don't wait for the oil to heat up. This allows us to have a little bit more control. I mean, we've all cooked with spices and they've flown out at us, sometimes because the oil is too hot. So turn on the heat, but don't wait for the oil to be hot. I'm just going to do that now. So I'm on 10. Which is the highest, high heat. And I'm putting in bay leaves. I'm putting in some pepper, which helps digestion, of course, cloves and cumin seeds. Now, some spices, of course, help to, and I keep saying this, that they're helping with digestion, but it's the right amount with that will stimulate the Agni. You don't want to quell the Agni by adding too much spice or too little. It's like also with temperature, right? When we say you drink cold water and the Agni is finished. You drink too hot water and it's overstimulated. So it's getting that balance right for oneself as to what it is that keeps you. I can. I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. I can do that as well. So which is it you want me to do? For goodness sake, I can't do both. Okay, so this thing, now you see I'm able to have a joke and a laugh because I put the spices into cold oil and I haven't put them into hot sizzling oil and they're not flying out at me. So what am I looking for? When the oil is hot enough, the spices will sizzle, which is why I'm not stirring. If I stir, I will miss that sizzle, so I'm not stirring. I'll see them sizzle, I'll see them slightly change color, a couple of shades darker, and they will develop an aroma. As soon as that's done, I'm going to add in all my other ingredients. I've got ginger. Ginger, of course, is good for your Agni. It will stimulate. And then I've got some grated carrot and the lentils and rice. I'll let everything cook. When you cook with lentils, when I cook with lentils, I don't add salt to start off because lentils take much longer to cook if you add salt. So we'll cook everything down, let it mush down, and then I'll add the salt at the end. Right, it's just coming up now. The bay leaves are starting to change color. Does anyone else make khichdi on a regular basis? What do you add? What vegetables do you add in, Rachel? Carrot, yeah. You know what I also add when I make a khichdi for myself is dill. Lovely, because dill is also cooling. And so on days that you want, you feel that your pitta is high, put dill and it will just cool everything down. It's a beautiful flavor in khichdi. Okay, so these are sizzling. Just a little bit longer. I'm of course working on this for the first time, so please bear with me. A little bit longer. Okay, can you see this? Can you see the color of it? That the bay leaves have started to change color? Yes? Can you see that or not yet? Just. Okay, I'm going to add the ginger as well now. And I've just grated that ginger roughly. You've lost what? Ah. Okay, so the ginger is frying nicely. I'm going to add in my moong dal. Fry that off for a bit. You can all sing with them. Sahaviryam karvavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu. Okay, so carrots have gone in. I think I shall move to this one. And then I'm going to add the rice as well. You can use any short grain or any medium grain rice for this. You don't need to add the most expensive basmati for this because it's all going to melt down, of course. I'm going to add a spoonful of turmeric. I washed it. It's not cooked as yet because it will all cook together. So it's like a risotto, it will all melt down. And the softer everything gets, the more digestible it is. So, you know, often in Ayurvedic nutrition, we believe that raw foods don't suit everyone. You know, in the West, we often say that I'll eat light, I'll have a salad, but you need to have a very strong agni to be able to digest raw foods. Cooked foods are far more digestible. So in India, you'd find that although we eat salads, but it's never a main course. It's always something on the side to add crunch to a meal because we eat everything in one course, right? There are no different courses. So on your plate, you want things to be colorful. You want them to be textural, so something will have a bite, something will be soft, something will be gloopy. Often you'll have a change of temperature as well, so most of the food will be hot, but a salad will be cold. You may have a yogurt with it. So these are temperature, textural, and color differences rather than main meals, a salad or the yogurt to cool everything down because it's all very spicy. It's not meant to be spicy. Spicy is only if you go to a certain kind of restaurant. But not proper home cooking is not spicy. Okay, so everything is mixed in, and now I'm going to add in lots of water and allow this to cook down. Now, what is the best way of adding water? I think I shall have to do it with this way. Okay. So I'm not measuring the water. I don't need to measure it because I'll be adding more as I go along. As the water gets absorbed, I'll be adding much more. Ooh. We should be grateful for this, right? Okay. Any questions about anything I've said so far? I'll talk about this because it's important. So in Ayurvedic nutrition, firstly, white rice is the rice that is tridoshik. It's okay for everyone. So brown rice, as in the West, of course, we are talking a lot about fiber and adding, you know, more bran and brown rice, etc. That's wonderful. But in Indian cooking, we don't much talk about that because we already have plenty of fiber in our diet with lentils and vegetables, etc. White rice is considered to be tridoshik. It is good for all the doshas. It is the first weaning food we use for babies, etc. But in this country, when you think of Indian rice, you think of, and what does basmati mean? It means queen of fragrance. So it's a long grain, slender grain, fragrant rice. And all basmati is not equal. So some part of the harvest is taken away and put into warehouses that are very controlled in terms of temperature, light, air, etc., so that each grain dries out. It forms a skin and it locks the starch in. Now when you cook this rice that has been aged, it doesn't release the starch and you get a lovely fluffy product at the end. For kitchari, we want the opposite. We don't want a fluffy rice. We want something to break down. So you want to buy the cheapest rice. You don't want to buy expensive rice, which aged rice will be. When you look at the various basmatis, you'll find that some basmati is very expensive, and that's because we are paying for the aging. So when you make a khichdi, you can buy cheap rice, and it doesn't need to be fluffy at the end, obviously. Yeah? Yeah. Also lovely. I love jasmine rice, but of course it's not part of Indian cooking. Yeah. Okay. So mung lentils. So M-U-N-G. Okay. These are the lentils I've used, mung lentils. Now, also interesting to bear in mind that when you go into an Indian grocery shop, for example, you'll see that there's a whole rack of lentils and beans, right? But they're not, many of them are not different. They come from the same source. So for example, mung lentils, they come from mung beans, which are green and whole. The mung beans are then split in half, and you get a product that is half yellow, which is inside, and half green, which is the skin. And that's called mung dal chilka. The word chilka means skin on. So that's the second product you get. And the third one is when the skin is pulled off. So you get this, which is the completely yellow. So you get 3 ingredients from the one product. And why do we have 3 different? Why don't we just use the green beans in everything? Firstly, there'll be a difference in fiber. So the whole beans have the maximum fiber because they've got the skin on. Then there's a difference in color. And thirdly, importantly, there's a difference in digestibility because you've got to be able to digest that heavy fiber. This moong dal, which is without the skin and skinned and split, is the one that is the easiest to digest, which is why it's the one that's used in khichdi. When you look at recipes for khichdi, they will be with moong dal because it's the easiest. If you put chana dal, it defeats the purpose of a khichdi that's meant to be easy on the digestion because chana dal is hard to digest. Yeah, makes sense? Okay, so this is coming to a boil, and this is also coming to a boil. So what I shall do is I'll put this on the back burner and we'll start making the tea, the kashai, and then I will pass around some for you to taste. Yeah, just give me 1 second, I can't hear you. No. Okay, so basically within the Ayurvedic spectrum of cooking, there are 3 kinds of foods, right? One is the Satvic foods, the Rajasic foods, and the Tamasic foods. Now today what I'm cooking is a Satvic khichdi, which means that it is good for when we meditate, it's good for calming, it's good for soft, gentle moments. If I add onion and garlic, they are both Tamasic foods, which means that they excite different things within the body. And therefore, in any kind of fasting or any kind of quiet moments, we do not add those highly aromatics. Ginger is not. Ginger is a good ingredient to add. It's a Satvic food, but not garlic and onion. I just recently, a couple of weeks ago, did a talk on fasting and feasting in India at Fortnum and Mason. I was talking about fasting, how in India it's so interesting when you fast, how you enter a fast and how you leave the fast is as important as when you're fasting itself. The fast, you know, the Ashadi Ekadashi fast that many people do, the lunar every 11 days, but that's not just that day, it's how you go into it gently and how you come out of it gently, because the body must be prepared to stop and to start again. And at that time, we would especially be eating Satvic foods because those help the calm waves rather than this. Yeah, makes sense? Okay, so this is on the go. Now, give me one moment. Lovely. Right, if I can borrow you for a moment. You are the technical or you're part of this?
Can help out here as well.
Help out here, okay. So I'm going to move this to the back. And this is the biggest one, right? So I'm going to put this on 14. Yeah? Is that good to put this here?
Yes.
But that turned off also. I want to put this also on high. Yeah?
That one should be 14.
This one should also be. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Okay, good. So khichdi is on the go. You can all see this, right?
Yes.
So it's boiling away now. I think I'll put a lid on it so that we come to it quick. There we are. And this is coming to a boil. So the next thing I'm doing, of course, is the kashai, the tea. And for that, I'm going to be toasting some seeds here. I've got coriander, which is cooling, fennel, which is cooling, and I'm just going to dry toast them with no oil. So again, you see, I put them into a pan that was cold, but I put them on a high heat. And I'll go all the way up to 13. Lovely. That can go down. Right. Again, what I'm looking for is for the seeds to slightly change color. They will crackle and they will also develop an aroma. And once that's done, in my mortar and pestle, here I've got some ginger again, cinnamon, cardamom and cloves. Now, whenever we use cardamom, firstly, when you're buying cardamom, make sure to feel in the pack, just feel it to make sure that it's full. Sometimes you see cardamom which is, they're big pods, but there's nothing inside because they're dry. And once if they're hollow, then it means that they're old, so they're no good for you. When we use cardamom, how many of us have eaten a rice dish or something and you find a whole cardamom in it? How many of us have eaten? And is it been a pleasant thing? Of course not. It's awful and terrible and should never be done. But also, it's that terrible, inelegant moment where you have to pull it out of your mouth. That's terrible. So, to avoid all of that and to be very graceful and elegant and healthy, of course, we always going to bash the cardamom, get the seeds out, throw away this nasty thing, which we don't need, and then use just the seeds. All the flavor is in the seeds. All the aromatic oils are in the seeds. There are none in the skin. So that doesn't need to be eaten. Okay. Right. So I'm going to crush the cardamom seeds. I'm going to crush the ginger and bruise the cinnamon. I'm going to add all of that in there. So, cloves, I'm adding those. Yes? Okay. Okay, so cardamom is going in as well. Cinnamon, ginger, I can start bashing that. You can see that these seeds are starting to change color. Is it noticeable on there? Yeah? Can you see these? Smell them, lovely. Okay, perfect. So you don't need to crush them to a powder, okay? We just want to bruise them. Add that in. So I'm adding all the ginger, the cinnamon, and then I'm going to use these as well. Put these in here, bruise these. Okay, those are going in as well. And I'm just going to let everything come to a boil again. And these spices will release the aromatic oils. Okay, there we are. Right. Okay, so this is already changing color. I'm going to let it come to a boil and then we can pass this round. Turn this up. This is good. Look, the khichdi is needing now more water. Okay, so all this has been absorbed. I'll add some more water to this. So when would you normally think of having a kashai? At what time of day? Evening? Any time is the answer. So it's a good thing to start your day with a kashai also. It's a good, in the winters, a good warming thing. But in India, literally, we would have it's like herbal tea, right? And you have different kashais. There's not just one recipe. You have different ones for different times of the day or different, what you're feeling. So flaxseed kashai was the one that my grandma used to give me when I had a temperature, to bring temperature down. So similar to what I did here, in a frying pan, you put flax seeds and split them, literally, because in a hot pan, and then you put them into water and boil them up, and that was what I had. Okay, so, oops, sorry. This, come back to a boil. Sorry? TV is not on, TV is not on. TV is not on. Oh, this smells lovely. Can you smell this, kashai? I hope the breeze is blowing this way. Look at it. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Look. Now, how long to boil this for? You can boil it for 5 minutes or so till all the loveliness is through, and you could boil it for longer and make it stronger, of course, but I'm going to just leave it another 2-3 minutes and then we'll pass it around. Yeah? Any questions about anything I've done? Yeah? Yeah. So, people do also teas that are specific. So, supposing, for example, even when with babies and gripe water, what is that? It's like one of our kashais. That's fennel and water. So, similarly, if you're feeling bloated, for example, it's only a fennel tea. If you're feeling that you want to perk up, then it's this one, Otherwise, what? Digestion tea, cardamom, cloves for warming, all the cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, black cardamom on a cold day. So it depends how you're feeling. It's usually spices. Herbs, we use some, mint sometimes, but not too many herbs. It's always ginger is the aromatic and then spices.
May I ask a couple of questions?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me just do this. 1 second. I'll come to you. 1 second. Who's asking the questions?
At the back here.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so regarding the kitchari, maybe I missed it, but did you have any proportions to the moong dal and to the rice?
I will tell you exactly what I did because I have it written down.
And with regards to the tea, is that anywhere similar to a kadha?
Kadha only, kadha. Yes,
is the
kadha,
same.
kashai, correct.
Yeah, okay.
All different languages, different places in India, same. If you're in South India, it will be kashai, kashayam. If you're in Maharashtra, Gujarat, kadha. Yes.
Thank you.
And in the north?
Kadha.
Kadha. I come from Maharashtra, so we would call it, I come from half Maharashtra. My dad is Maharashtrian, my mother is South Indian. So I have grown up calling it both kadha and kashai. Okay, yeah, I'm giving you the proportions, yeah? Right. These are my own recipes, by the way. I'm not reading someone else's. So for the moong dal khichdi, I used 150 grams of rice. This for 4 people. 150 grams of rice and 4 tablespoons of moong dal. So 1 tablespoon per person of moong dal. Yeah? Okay, come on, let's have the tea now. This can go up.
Hello? Could I just ask a question about the tea? I drink a lot of chai tea, just chai tea bags from Morrison. So is this sort of, if I made this, where does chai tea come into it all?
Okay, lovely. I love this question. Yeah, this one. So we need to strain it, yeah? Just give me 1 sec, please. 1 second, I'll come to this. If we strain it first into something, because otherwise it will be all over the place. What can we strain it into, is the question. Because we have, let's see, in here. Yeah. Yeah? There we are. Shall I leave it with you?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about chai tea. What does the word chai mean? What does chai mean? Tea. What does tea mean? Tea. So could we be saying tea? No. Right, okay. So chai, in India, the word for tea is chai, cha, chaha. All these things are the word for tea. But if you want to make a spice tea, then it would be masala chai. So if you went to India and you asked for chai, you will get tea as we know it here. Tea, milk, sugar maybe if you want that, but tea and milk. But if you ask for a masala chai, you would get it with all the other bits in it. So a masala tea is obviously going to be slightly heavier than a kashai. A kashai is a herbal tea for healing. A masala chai is for comfort. You sit down and say, oh, I'm going to have a masala chai because it's tea time, it's 4 o'clock. But otherwise, through the day for healing, I have a slight cold, I'm going to have a kashai. I'm feeling a bit miserable, I'm going to have a kashai. I feel like a pep, I'm going to have a kashai. That's the difference. A kashai is more a herbal tea. It's a lighter thing. It doesn't usually have milk. Sometimes it does. In South India, we do put in milk into a kashayam also, but not generally. Is that a good answer?
Thank you.
So no one is going to say chai tea again.
Oh.
And if you hear someone say chai tea, then ask them this question. What is chai? What is tea? Okay, so this is getting along very nicely. I am going to make... yeah? Yes?
Sorry, I'm behind.
Oh, you're behind.
Sorry. Could you make this up and put it in the fridge and drink it cold? Would that be...
I will talk about it. I will answer that. I will.
Sorry, I'm behind.
Thank you for coming along. I will repeat your question. So this lovely lady is asked whether the kashai can be made and put in the fridge and had cold. In Ayurvedic nutrition, now of course how you practice your own Ayurvedic lifestyle is very personal, and I always say this, and whenever I teach my Ayurvedic classes, I always say that one size does not fit all, even within the same family. So when we say, for example, if I'm cooking for the family and I say, you know, we're going to cook one thing, it's not going to be the same for everyone, and yet we are not going to cook different things for different people, but you will always want to be aware of what works for you. In Ayurvedic lifestyle cooking, it's always warm that will keep your Agni going. So if you think in your tummy there is a fire, that is Agni, Jataragini it's called. That Jataragini has to be kept burning correctly in order to be able to digest. If you put in fuel that is too strong, it's going to digest everything quickly and you will find that there are problems that come with that. If you put in fuel that is dampening, so you put cold water on it, the Agni is not strong enough to digest all your food. So drinking cold liquids, eating cold foods is not always good for your Agni. You want to eat lukewarm, is what they say is the best, that at room temperature or lukewarm. The other thing also that I'll talk about is in Ayurveda, and this is something that is not practical but it's true. All foods, including this kitchari here which is bubbling away, I'm going to add just a little bit more water to this, yeah? All foods are considered to have prana. What is prana? It's the life force. And once you reheat, once you freeze, once you put things in the fridge and eat after 3 days, that life force which is in a vegetable, a fruit, rice, dal, whatever it is, that gets less and less and less. Now, our modern lifestyle means that we can't cook freshly every day, right? I mean, it's hard. We try, but it's hard. But it's having that awareness that we are slowly destroying the prana of our food, the life force, what gives it that ability to nourish. The ability of foods that nourish, that is lost. You know, it reminds me of something my mom explained to me when I was a child, when I said, what is divinity? And divinity, she said, it comes from the Bhagavad Gita. It's not just the fact that there's godhood or that there's nature. Of course, all this is divinity. But it's the ability of, say, a seed to grow into a different tree, each seed to grow into a different tree. Or if it's nature and you drink rainwater, for example, it's not just that you've received water. It's the ability of that water to quench your thirst is divinity. Isn't that so lovely? Something to think about. It's not just the water, it's what it behind it. Okay, we haven't put any honey in this. So then, yes honey, no honey? No honey. Hey, lovely. We are lucky. Thank you. No, yes, honey? Yes. So in this kashai, we put in fennel seeds, coriander seeds, peppercorn, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, ginger.
I was just going to return this to you.
How much honey? I don't know who wants honey. Yes, please, honey. Just a drop. I'm going to put this down. Don't put honey on me, please. All sticky. Eee. Thank you. Okay. How is that? Isn't it so calming? Now, while this khichdi is finishing off, it doesn't need honey, exactly. It's so good. It's so good. And it doesn't take time to cook. Look, it's just, bashing some spices, some ginger, and it's so aromatic and beautiful.
What would you use for an upset stomach?
Pomegranate skin. So, I'll come this. When you eat a pomegranate, fresh pomegranate, usually we throw off the skin, right? But if you dry it on your kitchen counter, and it'll get really hard. And then what you do is to either just snap off what you need a little bit and boil it and drink that water. Don't eat the skin, it's terrible. It's bitter and awful. And also for little children, we would grate, sort of just, on your board, just rub it and you get a little bit of the paste with water, mix it into water, and that cures an upset tummy, naturally with no side effects. And eating pomegranate also. Why? Because pomegranate is astringent. So it has the quality of tightening the tummy. So foods that will have particular tastes and properties will help to either release or... I'm going to be coming back on Sunday to do a talk, so please do join me. I'm doing a talk on the 6 tastes of Ayurveda and how they impact how we feel and the foods we choose, etc. So if you're here on Sunday, I'd love to have you back. Thank you to this team who is very wonderfully doing this job while I look after the khichdi. Okay, now also, with the khichdi, I'm going to be doing a strawberry chutney. Okay, strawberries, of course, in season at the moment. And in order to spark the agni in that strawberry chutney, I'm going to be adding 1 green chili. When you chop a green chili, first I'm adding 1 green chili for all this lot, yeah? So it's not going to be spicy. But when we use chilies in Indian cooking, first I don't want to make it very spicy hot. Also, I don't want my fingers to be all stingy. So the way I'm going to chop this, can you see what I'm doing here? Yes. Do I need to come here? Yes. Okay. Yeah, can you see me now? Yes. Right. So first thing is you want to choose a chili that is suitable for your heat level. I use bird's eye chilies. I'm going to be putting the chili flat using the tip of my knife and drawing a line. So I'm holding the chili at the stalk end and drawing a line down the length of it like that. Okay? Then still holding the stalk end, I'm going to dice down and I'm dicing the chili with the seeds. That goes into the bin and my hands are clean. I have not touched the chili at all. So this is a safe method to use. Then if you want to make it finer, just chop down, and when you put it into your pan, make sure you don't pick it with your fingers, just slide it off your board. Okay, so that's there. Anyone else having tea? Anyone else having? Oh, there's so many more. Oh. We need more. You need more me to do it as well? Yeah? You want running off. Okay. Okay, we need someone else to distribute them.
A volunteer.
Do we have a volunteer to distribute? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try.
So you're going to send this board?
Yes. But do you need that board?
No, I don't need the board.
So careful you're not turning your ring on.
Only that one is on. This one is on 3, this one can go to 5. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start the strawberry chutney. Again, I'm going to start with a little bit of oil. And I'm only adding enough oil to cook the cumin seeds, which I'll be putting into the pan when the oil is still cold. And we'll start this one. 10. Oh. Okay, let me do a little taste. You notice that I haven't tasted the kitchari as I went along, etc. I'm just tasting it now to make sure that it's cooked. Okay. And now I'm going to be adding the salt. Lovely, thank you. Sorry? TV is not on. Good?
Very good.
Done. Okay. So in here, I've got this is the strawberry chutney I'm starting now. I've added the cumin seeds and they've cooked. They've turned dark. Can you see that? If I move this a little bit, can you see that they've turned dark? Slightly, couple of shades darker. Then I'll add the chili. Okay, once the chili starts to sizzle, I'm going to add strawberries and a little bit of black pepper, salt. And once the strawberries start to crush, crumble, melt, I'll then add a little bit of honey. Yeah, and then that finishes it. Okay, so seeds are done, chilies are cooking, strawberries. Now you can make this with any berries you like, any fruit you like, if whatever's in season. I'm using strawberries, of course, they're in season now. They also add a little bit of the sour taste to this kitchari. We'll be serving the kitchari with a little bit of the strawberry chutney. We can put the cups out because it's nearly done. And also the spoons are here. Thank you. Any questions?
Which seed? Which seed?
Sorry.
Cumin or?
Cumin. Yeah, cumin seed. Oh, I can't hear anything with this thing sizzling by my ear. So I'm adding a bit of salt to this. They'll break down the strawberries quick.
I was just going to ask, is there any particular order that you should cook spices in? Because I noticed you put the chili in after as well.
So well observed, look. So the general rule for using spices, of course it has to be only a general rule because there are so many ways to use spices. But as a general rule, when you use spice seeds and when you use ground spices, the spice seeds will always go in first. The spice powders go on top of something that has reduced the temperature of the pan. The reason for this is that all spices have got aromatic oils, and the spice seeds need the highest temperature to split and release those aromatic oils into the cooking oil. If we put the seeds on top of the strawberries here, then the seeds will just stew. They won't have the right temperature. So they won't release all the aromatic oils. Yeah? Yeah? That much? Thank you. Sorry. Why is it so breezy here? Is it breezy there as well? This, thank you. I'm glad that the breeze is going this way. And it's so simple, you know. The thing is, keep food cooking simple. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it. It tastes equally good if you spend 10 minutes or if you spend 30 hours on it, I think. Sometimes I see recipes that will say, you know, soak something for 5 hours or no. Dal. Soak. Which ones? Only the bigger lentils. Say moong dal you don't need to soak. But if you're doing chana dal or tur dal, etc., you'll soak. The bigger the lentils. But smaller lentils, I'm not that well prepared. I usually go into my kitchen and say, what shall I cook? And that's when I start. See how nice this looks, also nice, and it smells so good. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of pepper to this. Okay. Any other questions from the back? Yes, yeah.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
You can smell them all the way there?
Yeah. Sorry. Oh. We're starting to smell the strawberries all the way back here.
Lovely.
Is this in any of your books, this recipe? Or is
Not
it
yet.
online, even better?
Not yet. So this is a recipe I teach at my Ayurvedic classes. But I don't think it's in my books, but I don't very remember much, really. Do you know the funny thing was I was writing one of my books, I don't know, probably the Indian cookery course. This was 2016. And I wanted to write this recipe, wrote it down, and about 2 weeks later I thought, oh, that's a very good recipe to write. I should write it down. So I wrote it and I thought, but this looks very familiar to me. I think I've written it somewhere else. So and usually when I'm writing a book, I write in a mess. On my desk there are lots of papers, little notes, little things. They kept looking for it all day. I kept, where have I put this recipe? Where have I written it down? It was only much, much later, I think it was a week later, I realized I'd already written it in that same book. So it's, you know, sometimes it's chaotic. Huh? But it works, I think. It's worked and they're out now, so. Okay. So this is looking good and this is all fine. We'll turn everything off. Okay, I'm going to add some honey. It's got a little bit of a kick, and that's very nice. So when you use honey, of course, we don't cook it because it changes its composition. So always add it in after you've turned the heat off. Leave it out. You can add also some sweeter fruit to this. So if you know the strawberry, sometimes summer fruit can be pretty sour. So if you're using fruit that is a bit sour, then add in a little bit of sweeter fruit, maybe a pear or something like that to it. Okay. So we are good. We can add a bit of this on top and we're ready to go.
No, just one without the strawberry.
One without the strawberry, one plain with only khichdi. No strawberry chutney. Too much. Yeah, just even less than that for the chutney, please, because it'll be overwhelming. Okay, so but make your own. It's so nice. Without sugar. Okay, you can make with mangoes. Make with any seasonal fruit. This same recipe works with apples, with cooking apples, with pears, with peaches. What else? We can use mangoes, of course. My favorite, chutney is the green coriander. Ooh. Green coriander and mint chutney. It is India's favorite chutney. It's not my favorite alone. Wherever you go in India, there's a version of it. Basically, it's not even cooked. So, a big bunch of coriander, little bit of mint, a bit of ginger, chili, and you blitz this. You can add a thickener such as coconut. If you can eat nuts, then peanuts, cashew nuts. And then you just blitz it with a little bit of water, make it fine. And then add lots of lemon or lime juice and a little bit of salt, pepper. And if you want a balance of taste, a little bit of sugar. And everywhere you go in India, you will have this as a dip or as on bread or everywhere. It's one of India's most favorite chutneys, coriander. Can I, sorry? Sunday. I'm coming Sunday, but on Sunday I'm not cooking. I'm only going to talk. Only speaking. Coriander, but they'll have to bring a blender, etc. I'll have to organize a blender. If we had a blender, I could make it now for you because I've got lots of coriander. Bring a blender. Smoothie place. Bring the blender. We'll make green coriander chutney. We have chilies, we have coriander, and we have ginger. And lemon, I don't know.
Sorry, how long can you keep it?
The green coriander chutney, green chutney, 2-3 days. Because it's fresh herbs, right? It will not last. It will change color and all this. It will not be so good. TV is gone. There's not much to see now. They are just decanting. Any other questions from the back? Yeah. No, we need to send the mic, isn't it? Where's the mic? Which? Tomato chutney. That's also lovely. This we can make this same recipe with tomato chutney. Not with honey. But just a little bit for balance. Otherwise it's too acidic. Well, choose the best ripe red tomatoes so that you get the best flavor. You know, the salad tomatoes we get are not so good.
Could I ask something about chilies?
Yes.
I never trust chilies. I never understand how hot they're going to be. And is there any hard and fast way of knowing how much to put in without sort of making them unpalatable? I don't like too much heat in my food. And often I've put in and then I've had to put a can of coconut milk in to try and make it edible.
Yeah.
And so what would be your advice with regard to buying and using chilies for the right result, spice, heat-wise? Thank you.
Thank you. Firstly, I'll just say that the question of chili is a very differing one in India. So India, of course, is a land of contrast, and just as people eat a lot of chili heat, there are many and in equal number that eat none. So if you feel that chili is something you don't enjoy, chili heat, please feel free to leave it out completely. It's not an essential part of Indian cooking as much as we make it out to be here, because other things bring that kind of heat. Ginger does, pepper does, etc. So we don't always need to only have chilies. Talking about chilies, and I always say this in my classes, that with chili heat, we want to control it rather than the chili controlling us. And unfortunately, often the chili controls us and we say, oh my God, now what do we do? There are two ways to understand chilies a little bit. Firstly, I'll talk about green chilies. I used a green chili today. If we keep consistently to the same variety of chili, then we'll know how hot that is going to be. So I always use bird's eye chilies. So I know how hot they are, and so I'll be able to, I don't eat a lot of spicy food myself, so I'll be able to control the heat by knowing which chili it is. When it comes to chili powder, the red chili powder, if you buy generic chili powder, which on the pack says chili powder, it's almost always a blend of many chilies, and therefore each brand will have a different level of heat. There's never one level. So you say, supposing you say brand A will be, oh my God, it's really hot. Brand B may be medium. So it's hard to tell, and you never know. The best way to approach that is to buy a single blend chili powder. So I always buy a Kashmiri chili powder, which is a single blend. Kashmiri chilies are medium hot, they're not crazy, so that you can put in less or more. And always, if you're worried about chili heat, put less than what the recipe says. Because chili can be a finishing spice. So it doesn't always have to be cooked in. You can always sprinkle more if you want, should that be the case. But otherwise, put less than what the recipe says, and that way you'll be able to test what is good for you. But I think choosing the consistent kind of chili has worked for me. Yeah.
So I'm allergic to chilies. What would you suggest?
Leave them out.
Yeah, but what would you suggest as an alternative for the chutney?
Oh, for the chutney, put a little bit more pepper.
Pepper, thank you.
So pepper and chili, of course, they both give you that kind of kick. Capsaicin and piperine, slightly different kick, but you'll still get the heat. Pepper creates the heat also. So, black pepper, yeah. Green pepper is too much. Green pepper is spicy. Peppercorns, green peppercorns, they're spicy. So put black pepper. Anyone at the back? Have you had your kitchari as yet? No? Please be aware in the kitchen, I mean, I should have said this at the start, that there will be some cloves, yeah? Be careful with those.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Do you use long pepper?
Yes, pipali.
Yeah.
Where are we? Who has asked this question? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Can you hear me still? Can you hear me? Yeah. So pipali is used, of course, in even in the kashai. You can use, but it's not used much in cooking. It's too intense. So it's not a spice that we use anymore. It used to be before lots of other spices started to be, you know, as the cuisine evolved and we started using different spices. But if we look at very old recipes, then they would use only 2 spices, one of which would be pipali. Very good for you also, long pepper. So please, if you have some, put it into the kashai. Yeah.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to ask, when you use red chilies and when do you use green chilies? Is there any way, or?
Yeah. So if we think about fresh red chilies, we don't really use them for a particular purpose in Indian cooking, because fresh red chilies are basically ripened green chilies. So when we buy chilies, we want to buy them green, so that if on keeping they turn to red, we can still use them. We don't buy them red because they have a shorter shelf life. In Thai cooking, red chilies are used for garnish and that contrast of color. In Indian cooking, we'd use fresh green chilies and dried red chilies. So the dried red chilies bring a different kind of flavor because they bring smokiness, which a fresh green chili will bring green notes, and the dried red chili will bring you the smoke. So it's two different kinds of flavors that we are achieving. So for example, in that fabulous green chutney, we put green chilies for that greenness. Did I say green too many times, right? But we don't put in the dried red chili because that would be a contrast. We smoke. Yeah? 3 more minutes I have. Quickly ask me anything you want to ask. What do you think of the kitchari, those who have had it? Nice and gentle also, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Kitchari should be, yeah. No, it's not a preserved chutney because I have not put in enough sugar. So if you want to, for preserved chutneys, you will need to have either a lot of vinegar or a lot of sugar as preservatives. This has neither. So, okay, this brings me to the question, and quickly in the next 2 minutes, we have only 2 minutes, then they'll chase me out. What does the word chutney mean to you? Okay. At the back, anyone, what does chutney mean? Pickle, okay, we've got sweet, we've got pickle.
Don't sit down.
What else? Correct. The word chutney comes from the Hindi word chatna, to have a little taste of. So chutney can be sweet, salty, sour, hot, dry, wet, fresh, preserved, anything, as long as it's very high in taste and it's a condiment that you have on the side to change the taste of your main meal. So that's a chutney. You can have a dry chutney as well. Okay.
Can I just ask, at the beginning you talked about the amount of spices you put in. I have a tendency to put way more because I like really, really strong pungent flavours. Not the chili, but the real intensity of the flavours. But you said that wasn't recommended, and I can't remember why.
No, it's not that it's not recommended. It's the way that I cook and the way a lot of Ayurvedic nutrition is about using spices for their well-being and for their flavor. But when we cook with spices, we always want to remember that they are the supporting cast. They are not the main ingredient. In my chutney, the strawberry is the main ingredient. So if I put in too much spice, I will just taste spice, 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 spice. Whereas I want to taste strawberry, kitchari, kashai, etc. So when we cook spices, there are two things to bear in mind. One is how much we use of each spice. And in all my recipes, I put in 1 teaspoon of each spice for 4 people. And secondly, how we cook them so that we push them to the back and they become the supporting cast. If they sit at the front of your dish, then they're too much. They're overpowering. And sometimes spices, as wonderful as they are, they can be aggravating as well. So we don't want to, sometimes when you eat Indian food, it's here. And that means the spices haven't been cooked well. They're aggravating our system too much. So they want to be quiet and to be healing. Yeah. Last question.
The spice isn't too much. The time of day, sometimes when I have had something spicy late at night, in the morning, I've got very dry. Yeah.
That's not the spice, that's the salt.
All right, okay.
And that's also having eaten at the wrong kind of Indian restaurant. They're putting too much salt in the food. So, I always say this, when people add too much salt to food, salt is something that gives you a wonderful pop of flavor. But Ayurvedic cooking and home cooking is not about this, it's about this. And in restaurants, it's all here. They will make it taste really nice, it's salty, it's sour, it tastes lovely. What about this? This is not being addressed. So, less salt, not less as much, enough salt, but everything else that will help this is what we are aiming for in the food we cook. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, of course, mustard seeds are used in particular kinds of cooking. So none of my recipes today needed mustard seeds. All of South India, Western India, etc., we use mustard seeds in a lot of our cooking, but I didn't do any of those recipes. Mustard seeds also very good for your digestion because they will activate it. Thank you. I'll see you all on Sunday. Thank you.